When someone asked me what my favorite movie was as a child, most likely I would have said anything from Disney, especially Disney princess movies. From The Little Mermaid, Sleeping Beauty, Cinderella, and countless others. You name it and I loved it. Disney has not only had a huge impact on my life, but has affected the lives of many others throughout the world. However, many young adults and parents have expressed their concerns with some of the earlier Disney movies. And as I rewatch some of these early Disney movies, I cannot help but notice some of the concerns I have. And I wonder if watching these as a child has changed my perspective on our society. Today, I'll be discussing some of the concerns people have with the early Disney movies, including the views of women in many of the early Disney movie plots, the lack of different cultures in the movies, and its false notation of a happily ever after reality. Many people's views against the early Disney movies often deal with the misrepresentation of women in their plots. According to Taylor's blog, Exploring the Effects of Disney Movies, it shows that the typical early Disney princess is viewed as being tall, thin, pale-skinned, and with long hair, such as Princess Aurora, Snow White, Cinderella, and countless others. Although many of the later Disney princesses have been depicted from other cultures such as Pocahontas, many of the other characteristics still apply. It teaches young girls that if they do not fit this stereotypical look of a Disney princess or any other female lead, then they are not beautiful. Disney movies also depict many of the female roles as being inferior to men. In the Perspective and Online Journal, it proves the point that a majority of Disney princesses' storylines revolve around a love interest, and in most cases, the man is a hero and the woman is viewed as a damsel in distress. And most of these love-driven plots often show that the woman engages in advantageous marriages, and more than likely, in reality, these marriages would have had huge age gaps. The perspective also details the mistreatment of magical powers in many of the Disney characters. The use of magical powers in many male leads, such as King Triton in The Little Mermaid, is viewed as being powerful and good. But in the hands of a woman, such as Ursula or Maleficent, the use of the powers is evil and chaotic. Luckily, many later films, such as Frozen, have introduced the use of strength and power in female leads. But it still does not change the fact that the early Disney films have depicted women as being inferior to men, weak, and that beauty is the only thing that women should care about. Many of the early Disney films have also had some connections to racial and cultural stereotypes. BBC has found some of the researchers have concerns for some of the subliminal messages within early Disney films, especially stereotypes. For example, the song Arabian Nights in Aladdin originally contained the lyric, "Where they cut off your ear if they don't like your face," when it was first released. However, many people caught the lyric and were displeased, leading to the change later on in many of the discs. There are also several other examples, such as the depiction of African American sounding monkeys versus the British sounding monkeys. In The Little Mermaid, Sebastian is depicted as a Jamaican and believes that all people do is work all day. This may lead some people to believing that Jamaicans are lazy and do not work. Some of the Disney's later films also depict stereotypes, such as in Moana, where demigod Maui is considered as a giant, and many Polynesians have said it is insensitive due to the high obesity rate in the South Pacific. There are many more of these hidden stereotypes within Disney films. This is only few that have been depicted in Disney films. Disney has also produced a false idea of hope and a happily ever after mentality. In the Brandeis magazine, one writer praised Meryl Streep for calling out Walt Disney as a sexist and a bigot. However, the writer added more to it by saying she failed to mention how Walt Disney changed many of the original stories of early Disney films. Most of the original stories were way more brutal and dark than perceived on screen, and many of these new versions of stories only show happy endings. And the writer blames this happily ever fairy tale for the failure of many marriages in the world because of the unrealistic expectations. She says that real relationships are made, maintained, and require a lot of sacrifice and work, While in Disney movies, love is depicted as soulmates, knights in shining armor, princes and princesses, and that true love conquers all. But in reality, some of these things do not play a factor. The perspective also believes that Disney movies promote hope in children. Protagonists in the film overcome almost impossible challenges and end up with everything they ever dreamed of. And while hope is a transformative and cognitive motivational tool, many younger kids believe that hope is all it takes and not hard work. However, Disney films still do make a lasting impression by instilling positivity and love into the world, something we may need more of. Although many of the Disney movies' goals are to entertain a younger audience and project a positive outlook on life, it is hard to ignore some of the questionable morals that have been shown in Disney movies, such as women's role, race, and false realities. And while Disney has continued to broaden their outlook into women protagonists, dive into different cultures, and show some harsh realities in life such as death, the earlier films in Disney do not show this. I'm not saying that early Disney movies should just be thrown out and banned from younger viewers, but I do think that it should be made a point that these early films were produced in a time where women were not thought of as strong or independent, and that racial inequality still exists and played a huge role in our society. Some of these early Disney films do not have great life lessons within them, such as beauty comes from within. They do have great life lessons within them, such as beauty comes from within. True love is colorblind, or you have to work to make your dreams come true. However, parents should beware of showing their kids some of the earlier films due to the subliminal text and use Disney for entertainment purposes, not life lessons.